Episode 104, we're doing the lore on the Enclave.
Oh, you're giving us a treat by doing something that actually took effort.
Wow, okay. Alrighty then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just feeling very emotionally charged, and that was the funniest thing I could think of.
The post-war institution that developed from the... I'm gonna fuck this word up, because I even Google translated how to say it, and I just don't know how to say it. Continuity of the government of the pre-war USA, styled after the U.S. government. Have you ever played Minecraft?
I actually have.
No, you have? You like Minecraft?
Yeah, I do. It's something that I've dabbled in. I wouldn't say I'm the best at it.
I like Minecraft.
I've seen a video or two.
Yeah. You've watched a Captain Sparkles or a Sky Does Minecraft in the past?
Yeah, I have. I used to watch Redstone videos. We've got Seth Bling.
Do you like my Diamond Sword?
Not my favorite, but I do like the song, that the amazing parody Mine Diamonds. Available on Spotify. Link in the description below.
Kyle and I used to sing those all the time.
I know.
Prior to the war, they operated in secret under the same name. The members were members of the U.S. government and the military-industrial complex, one of the smallest factions in the wastes. The exact strength is impossible to gauge because of how closed off they were. The Enclave oil rig was the control station Enclave, had anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people on it, and that was pretty much the headquarters of all of the Enclave up until the end of the events of Fallout 2, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that was 100 to 1,000 people. Just for some context, Shady Sands, which was built from scratch, houses 3,000 people, approximately.
So wait, Shady Sands was about 3,000. What was that one?
The
Like
Enclave
1,000?
was anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people on the oil base. Like, that's how small their numbers were.
Yeah, that's pretty small, but honestly, that's not bad for an offshore, safe haven.
Yeah, I mean, they also had access to vertebrates and whatnot.
And whatnot.
Before the Great War, they operated in the shadows, rooted deep in the higher parts of the government, the military, and the corporate elite. They believe they are the sole representatives of humanity. It's kind of like all the people the Vegetables hangs out with. Don't buy from Amazon.
Can we censor him?
What?
He doesn't even deserve to be picked up by facial or by speech recognition. Can we bleep that motherfucker?
Sure, I don't know. Most Enclave...
Sorry, I got a little bit deep voiced there.
You're good. I haven't bought anything off Amazon since last year, and I don't plan on ever buying anything again from them.
Good.
Don't go to Walmart. Most Enclave humans were almost never exposed to any sort of nuclear fallout. They're extremely hostile to most people and species in the wastes. Being under such isolated perspective, and the fact that they have almost limitless resources, they only operate under their own interest and destroy anyone that gets in the way of them. Rare, but sometimes they recruit outsiders like in Appalachia, or use wastelanders as slaves. They see all, if not most, wastelanders on the same level as super mutant and ghouls, and must be destroyed. They want true humanity to take its place as the real America. They hold control of numerous military bases scattered across the former U.S., if not the world. Unclear on the true numbers of bases and people that are out there. The primary strangleholds were destroyed by various factions in the 23rd century. The headquarters was destroyed in 2242 and again in 2278. Some of the most powerful individuals across the former U.S. are comprised of the Enclave being the president, members of the Joint Chiefs, prize-winning scientists, wealthy industrialists, members of the military, influential politicians, various powerful people They created and I'm going to say this wrong, and if you know how to properly pronounce this, please tell me, the eminence Greece?
Did you say eminent priest?
No, no, the eminence Greece. But it's a French word, so I kind of want to be like, about it.
All right, well, give us one of those.
Can we do that? Is that, like how come we could only be racist against the French and the Italians, but nobody else? Like, I'm not saying that racism is good, but how come you get the pass on that?
I don't think it's racist, but I do think it's culturally insensitive, but fuck the French.
But, like...
If you're French, I don't... no harm intended.
You sure?
No, I'm not really sure, actually.
It's eminence Greece, I want to say. My French accent is awful, but
Grizz? That was horrible.
Yeah, I know. I didn't ever claim to be good. But it's French for behind the curtain of the U.S.
Aha, I got you.
They were thought to be Earth's greatest minds, and during the Sino-American War, or the Chinese-American War, continuing, the Enclave was started with corporate and government money, and all presidential measures would be continued at the oil rig backed by Poseidon Energy. They were one of the biggest contributors towards the Enclave, being a worldwide... I mean, the Sino-American War was fought over resources.
I mean, at that point, all of the wars were about resources.
Yeah. The White Springs Congressional Bunker was used as a hub for future Enclave operations. Funds for this were embezzled from the Department of Agriculture by Secretary Thomas Eckhart. So...
How in the fuck?
What exactly, for those who don't know, what exactly is the Department of Agriculture?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, like I'm saying, let's inform the people who don't know.
The Department of Agriculture is the governmental branch that oversees the production of food in America. That's off the top of my head.
You want to Google it?
I will Google it. I think I got pretty damn close, though.
This is. I just want to point out that what they were taking money away from, so they could be like, haha.
Are you doing the French thing again?
No. No. Anything?
Give me a sec.
What does El Goog say?
Okay, I got it.
Tell me.
The United States Department of Agriculture, also known as the USDA for anyone that's in the food industry, also known as Agriculture Department, is the U.S. federal executive department responsible for developing and executing federal laws related to farming, forestry, rural economic development, and food. It aims to meet the needs of farmers and ranchers and promotes agricultural trade and production.
Do you know?
Amongst other things.
Oh, I'm sorry. You good?
Yeah, it says that they're, that's fucking funny.
What?
Fosters rural communities and works to end hunger in the United States and internationally. Yeah. And there's such thing in the United States as school lunch debt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I couldn't buy lunch because I owed $3.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just think it's funny that it's like, here's this war, resources are running low, we're killing people for next to no reason. Hey, the most affluent people need to survive, right? Oh, absolutely, this is America. All right, cool. Take away school lunch. Like, take away soup kitchens.
Yeah, just...
Like, take away...
Defund food. What?
Just the idea
That's literally
of like,
what happened.
Just the idea of defund food. I picture like Celery going into the office and like his boss is like a beat and he's like, Celery, I need you to sit down. And he's like, oh God, what happened? I told you it wouldn't happen again. And he's like, no. He's like, we have to let you go. Why? I have so many little sprouts at home. You can't do this to me. And then like he goes home and like his tie's all undone and he's got like a fedora and a suitcase. And he's like,
I know you're getting really into this, but I have to say what's on my mind.
do it.
all I can see is like a Dare poster that says like "food not once" and has like a chicken leg with like a circle and an X over it.
Yeah.
Like the red mark. And it's like has like a shitty like polka dotted filter over it to make it look like it's pop art. Food.
Like
not
a Liechtenstein?
Yeah, exactly like that.
These funds were embezzled from agriculture, and Thomas Eckhart, who might have been the last president of the U.S., we'll get into a little bit of that later.
Except for Tom Henry Eden.
Tom?
Or John Henry Eden. I said, Tom? Who the fuck is Tom?
Also, Raven Rock was on the DC side of things as being a hub that they can use. In March of 2077, the world heading for certain death, the U.S. president and various Enclave members retreated to fortified places around the globe. Some stayed in power for appearances and only fled when the nukes were imminent. Once groups found shelter in the White Springs bunker. One group found shelter in the White Springs bunker because of casualties. Thomas Eckhart, Secretary of Agriculture, gained leadership. So, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you look up the I know if
succession of power.
Yes, if the I didn't know that that's what it was called, but if the president dies,
President,
it's
Vice, Secretary of State. I think then it goes to Secretary of Defense.
So let's see how far everybody died to the point that it's Secretary of Agriculture. Who should run the country? The man who does the food. Oh yes,
all right, it goes Vice President.
Hold on. It goes President, okay. Vice President.
President, Vice President, Speaker of the House, President pro tempore of the Senate, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Agriculture.
So how many people?
Including the president, that's 9 people would have to die.
I love the idea of just Would
you like me to go through the rest of the list?
How much further does it go down?
There's a lot.
It goes to the mayor of Detroit.
After that, it goes Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Transportation, the bus driver, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education,
for president.
Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and finally on the list before just complete societal breakdown is Secretary of Homeland Security. Which honestly, I think should probably be above the bus driver. That at least deserves to be in the top 10.
I can't get over, because you know how most bus drivers are immigrants in this country, or taxi drivers, bus drivers? At least in New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny, this country that hates immigrants. Let's just, the king bus driver.
That's a very interesting apocalypse scenario.
What is
king
the
bus
king
driver.
of, when the world went to shit, he can fit 45 in one spot at a time and transport them. This is his legend. Daryl King is the bus driver. Fucking... Alright, so...
Hold on. I do want to send this to you, because if you look at the list, it's going to be in Host Lounge.
Oh, okay. I just think that's so funny. 9 people had to die. White Springs bunker fell off of the Enclave grid almost immediately. So here's Thomas Eckhart, who could be the last president. We don't really know. He became acting president because he left, I'm guessing, with the president. It is never quite stated who the last president is, I don't believe. Let me look it up quick, but I don't want to talk out of my ass.
As if we don't do that frequently.
Yeah, it's a podcast. It's like a free license to talk out of your ass.
If we took out all of the ass talkery, it would be Atomic Radio 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's the last president of the United States, pre and post 2077. It says the last president of the United States... the last president was elected into presidency prior to 2076. Most of the information known about him comes from newspaper articles found in the Capitol Post and the Boston Bugle, and secondhand information given from the Enclave sources. A faded letter A faded signature on a letter to Governor Evans of West Virginia indicates that the name started with the letters D.I. That's about all we have. I kind of like not knowing.
Yeah, I'm fine with not knowing.
But I just think it's so funny. I just think it's so silly. Okay. So here's the last president. Here's supposed to be the Enclave base on the home front in the White Springs, and then they just fell off the grid. Like, he just stopped working. The Enclave used Project Safe House and Vault Tech's network of vaults for grand social experiments, much like you probably already know, to test unique circumstances. The Enclave oil rig had equipment to allow them to observe and control vaults. They sent the all clear to Vault 8, prompting them to leave and then build Vault City. And it allowed them to see that Vault 13 was pretty much intact. In Appalachia, Secretary Eckhart redirected his isolation branch of the Enclave to eradicating communism by any and all means. Their reign lasted less than a decade, and it brought the region to near extinction. Which I think is just the Bethesda way of going.
You do capitalism too hard.
What?
What? I didn't say anything.
But I think this is Bethesda's way of going. There's nothing here. Death.
This is the no zone where we just don't let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a resurgence with Modius being the only survivor in Appalachia besides whatever 76 Vault Dwellers made it inside of the White Spring. Which I have then written down bullshit and prequel shit. I was having this conversation with somebody recently. I don't like prequels because there's no weight. You know what I mean?
What do you mean that there's no weight?
Like, I watched
because
Black
you know
Panther.
The events that are going to end up happening?
Yeah, like I watched Black Panther because I really liked the last Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this is actually like a decent movie. Like, I'm probably never going to watch it again, but I was like, this is decent, and I like this a lot. And it was cool to see, like, spoilers, but everybody saw this movie. It was neat to see, like, Captain America with Thor's hammer. Like, it was just shit that, like, even though I'm not a huge comic book fan anymore, it was cool to see that shit. Shit that I knew existed. Like, when he says, Hail Hydra, like, it was just cool to see shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I went back and I understood the cultural importance of Black Panther, and I watched it. And one, it's just a boring movie. Like, I just think Black Panther's not super entertaining. But also, he dies in like the first 25 minutes, and I was like, I know T'Challa is fine. Like, I'm not, because even if I would have saw this movie when it came out, I knew the next Avengers was coming out. I knew he was going to be in it. So, like,
yeah. I struggle with that a lot, too, because it's just like, oh no, is Spider-Man gonna get undusted in Avengers? I don't know. He only has 3 more movies scheduled in the next 10 years.
Yeah, like, I know he's gonna get, like, it's...
Yeah.
There's no weight there, so they're, like, telling, like, because the way I see those movies now is just they're prequels for the big one. You know what I mean? Instead of, like, the way I think a movie sequel should go is it builds upon each one. Where I feel like because they announce, here's the next 15 movies we're going to make, each one is just a prequel to the final one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, as far as I know, Tarantino didn't put out Kill Bill and was like, all right, well, this is only the first part. So you know that she lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but...
Yeah, right, yeah.
John Henry Eden was called upon after the loss of the oil rig by the 2120s. The Kodak Maldivian was shut down. Now, I didn't do much research on the Kodak Maldivian, so let's do it together.
Okay. Do you want me to look at that?
You can.
Actually, I'm going to let you do it because I have no idea where to start spelling that.
It is the Kovac Maldivian platform. Muldoon platform is an Enclave satellite orbiting in 21 XO2. The Kovac Muldoon is an automated support satellite located in the geosynchronous orbit above Appalachia, slaved to the White Springs Congressional Bunker. To the bunker, and governing intelligence Modius launched in the terminal years of the U.S. The Kovac Muldoon was a mighty system, providing the bunker's denizens with an eye on Appalachia, complete with the ability to launch orbital missile strikes at need to minimize the threat of detection and destruction. The KC was also equipped with the latest anti-detection system. So it's a MacGuffin, as far as I'm concerned.
It's a MacGuffin.
And again, this is where I get my whole, like, this is why prequels are dumb, because I've played a game that takes place almost 160 years after this, 80 years after this, and I know none of this fucking matters, because none of this shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to make a prequel compelling when you know what the end is. I know that all the people in my gang in Red Dead 2 aren't gonna die because I killed them in the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. So the Enclave did not return to the mainland for decades. By the 2140s, they adopted a policy of deeming its main goal its main goal was purity, to be free of any kinds of mutations. Before the Great War, they started developing new tech, various versions of the T-51B power armor, but it failed to yield results. By 2215, President Richardson made a presidential order to craft new power armor, and this is where you kind of get the Enclave power armor, or the advanced power armor. I have no fucking clue what it's called at this point, but it's advanced power armor, it's power armor, or Enclave power armor, and then it's XO1, XO2. Whatever the fuck, hopefully by the next game they figure out what we're going to start calling it. In October,
yeah, right?
I hope. Just like, you want to fuck around and change everything for West Virginia? Fine. Whatever.
Fine.
You got to make a game. Can we just get naming conventions down? Like, if you're gonna make shit up and say that the first Maxon came all the way to West Virginia, can we at least get the names right of things? Can we just say this is what the name is? Can we solidify what names are? By October, and I'm a fan of these things, and that's why I get passionate about it, because I'm not going to sit there and idly go, oh, well, no, I care about this thing. I want this thing to be as good as it can be, and when it feels like they're losing touch with it, I get upset. It's not coming from a place of malice, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, yeah.
In October of 2220, the project was completed. By 2235, that's the power armor. By 2235, they began experimentation on Deathclaws, and they wanted to create cheap troops for waging war on hostile enemies. July 20th of 2236, the Enclave rediscovered the ruins of the Mariposa military base, and the Chemical Corps scouted through the base. Assault groups started to take slaves and captured Melchior? Melchior?
Can you do that again?
Melchior. Melchior, right?
Maybe Melkor? Depending.
Melchior. This is a Fallout 2 character. They captured him from Reading. Many slaves and construction crews were unearthing tons of rock to uproot the Mariposa military base. Unprotected wastelanders were exposed to low levels of FEV in the ruins. This is where Frank Horrigan comes in. He was sent to the oil rig for testing because of his exposure to the FEV. Melchior started to mutate, knowing they would kill him if they recovered FEV and virus data. He started to stash away weapons for other mutants in case of anything. By January 2237, scientists obtained a pure FEV strain. The mutants started to fight back as the Enclave tried to leave Mariposa. The Enclave fled and locked the mutants in the ruins of the base to pretty much fend for themselves. So here's these mutants that are trying to fight back because the Enclave is leaving and they see this as a chance to attack. And the Enclave just goes, seal it up, put all the rocks down, and just let them fucking starve to death.
Bye.
Yeah.
It's like, you are no longer useful to us, so you can die.
Yeah. Modeled after the U.S.
Just like America. Yeah.
Started the research on the FEV Curling 13. Now, I was wrong last episode when we did it on New Reno, and I said that it was an advanced form of FEV that they were using with the Salvatores. What they were doing is they were making this FEV Curling 13, and what it was like a reverse engineer, like a vaccine almost, that would have had it would have killed off any mutants.
That sounds good in practice, but like also could probably do eugenics.
Yeah, like at this point, mutants are here to stay.
Or good in theory, I should say, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear you. This FEV Curling 13 would kill all mutants worldwide. The Enclave's goal was to sweep the planet clean of mutants at an extermination rate of 99.5%. From the years of 2236 to 2238, scientists worked on Frank Horrigan and kept him heavily sedated through the tests and whatnot. And by 2239, the test ran dry, and they decided it was time for Horrigan to be used for field work. March 27th, 2239, he was sealed in his custom-fitted power armor. We've done a whole lore on my boy Frank. If you want, you can go check that out. I'm just kind of skimming over his stuff.
Can you remind me to link that in the description below?
Absolutely. By 2241, FEV Curling 13 was in its final stages, ran into a shortage of chemicals, and struck up a deal with the New Reno Salvatores to use their labs for chemicals that they lacked, and the final sample was finished. March 16th of 2242, Vault 13's dwellers were taken to the oil rig so that the inoculation... Alright, fuck you. March 16th of 2242, Vault 13's dwellers were taken to the oil rig so that the inoculation rendering humans immune to the FEV-based toxin could be tested. At about the same time, the village of Arroyo was also raided to acquire subjects to verify the effectiveness of FEV Curling 13. So they took Vault 13 as kind of like the control group to see how they would deal with it, and then Arroyo, which I don't know if they knew. They might have not. I'm not 100% sure if they knew that it's pretty much like the same strand of people, because you're the great-great-grandchild of the Vault Dweller from Fallout 1. So it's like the same DNA line, more or less, because there's only how many people in a vault, and you know they were all getting busy.
They were all up in that busy
just
shit.
Fucking rearranging the
Alright, can we just say,
guts.
Vault Dwellers fuck.
These Vault Dwellers?
They fuck.
They fuck.
I mean, what else you gonna do? Read the same fucking magazine over and over again, or just fuck?
I thought it was funny in the goat. It's like you find a rare issue of Brobnar the Barbarian. It's like, what do you mean?
Grognak.
What did I say?
Brobnar.
What the fuck is Brobnar? Oh, Brobnar's from fucking Keyforge. Sorry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Here's this rare issue of Grognak. It's like, what do you mean rare? All of the Grognak books that are down here have been down here.
They've been here for fucking years. Unless someone just like pissed on all of them and set them on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that thing happened. Are you snacking?
What? No, I was flipping pages.
Are you snacking? Oh, it sounded like a bag of chips, and I was about to be like,
I did that once, and it will never
jealous.
happen again.
I think one time I did, and you yelled at me afterwards, and you're like, I'm editing. Don't eat snacks when we record.
Yeah, and you did it on camera. I did it before we had video, and I remember like even listening. I wanted to name that episode the one where Vince eats popcorn the whole time. Autumn of 2242, a target toxin of the target toxin effectancy of 99.5% was reached. 250,000 gallons were manufactured, prepared for release into the jet streams. You know what that means?
Fucking how?
I don't know. Chemtrails.
No. Like, how
They're
did
gonna
they
put it in
make
the
that
water and turn all the
much?
frogs gay.
Like, how did they make that much in a post-apocalypse scenario?
They are
Where
the
do you get the
Enclave.
raw materials?
They're the one of the
I
only
guess.
groups that has pre-war knowledge. They know how to do things at a pre-war scale.
I guess you're right.
The only people that are smarter than the Enclave are the Shi.
You're correct.
You know what I mean?
The Shi are unstoppable.
What's that?
The Shi are unstoppable.
They're the Shi.
Yeah.
They
the
fuck.
Shi. They fuck.
They fuck.
They fuck so good. So hard.
So just unequivocal. There's unequivocal amount of fuckery. So, hours before the Chosen One infiltrated the oil
You know
rig.
what we need to call this episode?
What?
This episode fucks. Atomic Radio Hour fucks.
Hours before the Chosen One infiltrated the oil rig, he killed the president, President Dick Richardson, or Richard Richardson,
Or Dick.
and Frank Horrigan.
Dick's son.
Gross.
Yeah. That is gross. I'm sorry. Continue
That's just an
reading.
awful name. Like, I hope that kid got picked on when he was growing up. Like, hey, it's me, it's Rich Richardson. Fuck you. Did I ever tell you I want to name my kid
Fuck
vegan?
you, Richard. Yes, we can say I'm vegan.
So you could be like, hey guys, I'm vegan. Fuck you. Like,
Fuck you. No, really. I love meat.
he's a gay dude. Sorry. Hours before the Chosen One infiltrated the oil rig, he killed President Dick Richardson and Frank Horrigan and triggered a nuke, obliterating the toxic supply and pretty much getting out, not making sure that global genocide never happened to anybody with any sort of affliction that wasn't 200% pure. Post-Enclave, the destruction of the oil rig was a monster blow to them. Sergeant Granite regrouped at Navarro. By late 2242, senior scientist Autumn was contacted by John Henry Eden, the new president, ordered most of the West Coast forces to relocate on the east coast of Washington, D.C. Navarro remained an Enclave base. By 2246, the NCR invaded, stating that Navarro posed a threat to the NCR, and the NCR won. The Enclave...
Is that where Arcade Gannon was? At Navarro?
Was he at Navarro? Yeah, he was, because his
I
dad
don't know.
was Enclave, right?
Yeah, him and the other people in that quest were from the Enclave.
Yeah, because he even says, he goes, I don't like the NCR, but it's better than Caesar. Mm-hmm. Huh. Do we ever do an episode just on Arcade?
I think we did the Followers and he came up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's come up a couple times in the Followers episode, in the Fuck, Marry, Kill Companions bit that we did.
Oh my god, that's from like one of our first episodes.
Yeah,
That
it
was
a
recorded
long time
in
ago.
your bedroom 2 years ago. More or less. Wow.
Wow.
The Enclave remnants fled
The
east.
Enclave.
One more time, do it again.
The Enclave.
One more time.
I'm sorry.
No, do it again. Do it happier and with your mouth open. Look right into the camera when you do it.
The Enclave.
Their remnants.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You said it kind
The-
of funny,
the,
and then I just kept saying it.
Their remnants fled east or attempted to join the NCR with limited success. John Henry Eden and the Enclave soldiers grouped at Raven Rock. They had full manufacturing facilities and a sizable stockpile of resources. This allowed the president to create an armory of robotics and provide his new human subordinates with military technology. iBots were crafted to roam the waste and spread a message of pre-war America. During this time, they kept a low profile using Raisin Bran Crunch, using Raven Rock and Adams Air Force Base to slowly rebuild. They had new inventions like the Duraframe iBots and the Hellfire Power Armor.
The Hellfire Power Armor, what's that?
You don't remember that one?
No. Is that in 3?
It was in the DLC, Broken Steel, they were the Enclave Power Armor soldiers that shot the Incinerator Johns.
Yeah. I remember that now.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
I remember that now.
Are you being facetious? Are you being an asshole?
I'm not being an asshole. I just pushed that trauma way down there.
I see.
Yeah.
So, the Enclave began a large-scale campaign expansion in 2277 as Project Purity, a massive water purifier in DC's tidal basin, was activated. Enclave forces raided the facility, establishing a secure perimeter around it. However, due to the actions led by the scientist who committed suicide by activating the purifiers prematurely and flooding its control chamber with radiation, almost killing Augustus Autumn in the process, they were unable to use it. The Enclave focused on shadowing the scientist's child, the Lone Wanderer, to locate the parts necessary to the purifier to function, and captured them on their way out in Vault 87, as you probably already know. Colonel Augustus Autumn openly defied the president's plans to contaminate the water with modified FEV so that it would cleanse the wasteland. The colonel instead wanted to use the purifier as a way to unite the wasteland and establish the Enclave as its savior. The Enclave's attempts were stopped by a sudden raid by Lion's Brotherhood of Steel, a pre-war machine code named Liberty Prime, assisted them. I'm
sorry, can you say that again with more gusto?
Liberty Prime!
Thank you.
You're welcome. They killed hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers on their way there, taking down large numbers of vertibird gunships. Enclave calling in reinforcements, but nothing really helped. The battle ended in success for the Brotherhood of Steel, who proceeded to lay claim to the now active purifier. The ultimate fate of Colonel Augustus Autumn, present at Project Purity during the raid, remains unknown, but he's most likely a dead one.
A very big dead.
The Brotherhood used Liberty Prime in several other attacks against the Enclave, including the raid on Raven Rock, with their last major facility in the capital wasteland destroyed. The Enclave were forced to flee, regrouping at the mobile base crawler at Adams Air Force Base. The Enclave formulated a counterattack plan. The Brotherhood was lured to the satellite array station. As usual, they superheaded the attack with Liberty Prime. The Enclave anticipated that while the war machine attacked the facility, it was destroyed by a mini-nuclear bombardment from Bradley Hercules, a weapon platform in high orbit. And that's where he should have died.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all of those memes that was like, pour one out for my homie Liberty Prime, were null and void when Fallout 4 came out.
That's my biggest problem with Fallout 4, is that Liberty Prime was in it. Yeah, let him die a hero's death.
Really? Out of everything,
yeah, like,
that's
you
what
know
it
how
is.
Much,
not the
you know how
removal
many
choice.
Chances, you know how many chances I give Fallout 4 and how I'm kind of a softie for it.
Yeah.
But fuck that. There never should have been a Liberty Prime in Fallout 4. There should have been their own. The Brotherhood should have had their own story.
I didn't think I would have never guessed.
Like, yeah,
you're like, take away my dialogue options? Fine. You want my lawyer wife to be able to use power armor within the first 10 minutes of the game? Fine.
Fine.
You want to throw drugs that didn't exist in a vault that's pre-war, fine.
Be my guest.
You
Yeah.
want to put Liberty Prime at the end of the game? Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. That's where my line in the sand is. He should have died a
Really?
hero's death. Yeah.
I remember when he dies, it's such a fucking... I remember, like, playing that as a kid going, no! Like, I was like...
That's the only time in my entire life I've ever felt patriotic. He's
the only war criminal I feel comfortable saluting. Like, you know
Me
what I mean?
too. Like, Jesus.
That's so fucking funny. So, alright. By the 2281s, the Enclave's presence in the West largely faded. Nearly 4 decades after the fall of Navarro, members who have not quite integrated with the NCR or were captured and tried for war crimes fled to the fingers of the Republic, keeping out of sight. One squad is known to have ended up in the Mojave. On the frontier between the NCR and Caesar's Legion, most of these old war horses have found new lives, although their weapons and armor remain safely stored, awaiting the last call to battle that may never come. The only other remnants of the Enclave is that it isn't a rusted wreck. The only other remnant of the Enclave that isn't a rusted wreck or repurposed machine is Eddie, a Reforced Combat model Ibot sent out from Adams Air Force Base before its fall. Representing the last prototype of its line, it was sent to Navarro by the way of Illinois. Its creator not aware that Navarro had fallen, if it's not known if Eddie ever tracked down the Chicago outpost or if it even exists. All that remains of it is a license plate bolted to Eddie's side. I kind of have some things here. I don't know if it's super necessary to go through, but there's society and their ideology, because we kind of already touched
we live
upon
in a
it.
society.
What?
What?
No, I mean, we absolutely do. Yeah, I didn't know who was going to say it first. I'll read society quick. The Enclave has permitted itself after the... hold on.
We've been recording for an hour.
I know. Hold on.
There's so much lore.
But there was also a fucking 15 minutes in the beginning of us trying not to cry. The Enclave has presented itself after pre-war United States of America, scaling down its structure to match its smaller size. The Enclave is led by a president, elected by the people of the Enclave. Without a term limit, the president is assisted by a vice president who together from the executive branch of the government, which we kind of already went through.
Okay.
They're awful evil people. There's a couple different spots. The notable bases I'll go through real quick are the oil rig, the Adams Air Force Base, the Enclave Vault Research Control, active at Poseidon Station as of 2241, Navarro, Remnants Bunker, Raven Rock, Satellite Array Station, the White Springs Bunker, and Chicago. And that's
You forgot to pause for eye roll for White Springs Bunker.
That's pretty much the Enclave. I probably missed something. There's some other shit here about military and peacekeeping and recovery, Secret Service.
Didn't you miss the whole part where there's mining and crafting?
No, yeah, I skipped a lot
You
of
didn't
that.
even mention creepers. Are you kidding me?
I felt like it would be redundant.
Do you take me as a fool?
No, not you. There's a lot of shit here. Like we're gonna need like a second part.
For real?
Yeah, like we're gonna need Enclave Part 2.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I don't know if we'll do it next week, but we're gonna wind up doing it sometime because there's a lot more than I realized.
Soon,
It took me 2 days to write the notes that I have, and it took us this long, and the last like 10 minutes I read off my phone. That's how much shit there is.
Jesus.
So for society, I'll go through
That's
society, I'll
crazy.
go through ideology, and I'll go through like the bases. I'll go through all this other stuff, and we'll do Enclave Part 2 because there is so much more than I realized. What I'm going to do is I'm going to... You will get the Enclave Part 2 at another time. I'm not going to guarantee what time. I don't know when.
Definitive edition, the book, the ball, the game.
Of just the extra stuff that we left out. What I kind of went through was just the basic history, just their basic timeline. Their other stuff, their society, their technology, their ideology, all their other stuff, I will go through at a later point in time. I didn't realize it was that long. But at the same time, I did. So that's everything I have on the Enclave. For now.
For now.
A big, beautiful Buick Enclave. I'm surprised we didn't make that joke till right now.
Big, beautiful Buick Enclave.
Atomic Radio Hour Podcast.